Jonesy and Amanda.
Jam Nation.
Breaking news, Crowded House are returning with the Gravity Stairs tour. They're playing live at the Sydney Opera House forecourt on the 4th and 5th of December. Tickets go on sale today, the 30th of May, Thursday, the 30th of May. When is that? That's next week. Info and tickets are available at livenation.com.au. And we've got Neil on the Zoom right now. Hello, Neil.
Neil Finn, hello.
Look at him.
Hello, how are you doing?
We're doing very well. I love this. 35 years, touring again, new music. How different is life? Well, obviously life's so different now, but what were some of those early tours like 35 years ago? Did you get a Kit Kat backstage and that was about it?
I was fond of the odd Kit Kat, actually. But the first tour that we ever did with Crowded House was actually, we were called the Mullanes, and it was Paul and Nick and I and Craig Hooper, and we all fitted in one hire car, and I was the tour manager, and I was having to hit the promoters up for the money after the show, and we almost universally lost money at every show. Well, they lost money. We were on guarantees. It was really quite a good education for me to go and count out the cash over the ironing board backstage and have the promoter go, "Well, we only had 50 people, mate. Can we renegotiate?" No, I was quite hard-asked about it. I'd said, no, hand it over.
Well, rightly so, because you had all this, the success of Split Ends, and you almost had to pretty much start over again with Crowded House.
Well, we did. Under that name, we didn't draw very big crowds, but as soon as Crowded House turned up, we actually started to... Actually, I think, your good stations started playing Mean to Me before... it was the first sort of hint of any success that we got with that. And then the tours started to get real good. And that pub circuit, as some may remember, was a really vibrant time in Australian music. People were turning out big time. There were no health and safety whatsoever. They were packing 1,000 people into 400-person rooms, and which was memorable and quite exciting, really, those days. There was a lot of energy in the room.
I remember hearing a story about you guys many years ago supporting AC/DC, and that was like when you were Split Ends.
Yeah.
And that was a really big mix of crowds, because you had you guys with your kooky faces and your makeup, and then you got Bon Scott's ball-tearing rock and roll, and you guys were great with rock and roll as well, but the crowd got a bit hostile.
The crowd got hostile. That was even before I joined Split Ends, but that is a famous story now in the legacy. And yeah, they were booed off by a whole bunch of Sharpies at the festival hall in Melbourne. Magda Sabansky was one of those Sharpies, apparently, who threw some kind of plastic item at Tim. There wasn't really a match made in heaven, AC/DC and Split Ends, but both fine bands in their own right. But yeah, it was, you get over these things, they make you stronger.
Yeah, the Sharpies make you stronger. So here you are, new music. You've all done your own thing in the meantime. How's it collaborative has it been? Do you say, here's what I'm interested in now? How do you make it work?
Well, with a band, the great thing about a band is that nobody does exactly what you would do. So you get the light is let into your arrangement, to your song, and you get lovely surprises. And I'm very fortunate to have my two sons, Liam and Elra, who've become incredible musicians and writers in their own right. And Mitchell Froome, who was our original producer, and with my old friend Nick Seymour, who's been there from the beginning. It feels like a very soulful lineup, and everyone's very collaborative, and rehearsals are fun and hard work. We're determined. we have a lot of endurance built up over the years, and a compulsion to try and make every record better than the last. And yeah, there's still a lot of hunger.
Do you remember doing a Simon Townsend's Wonderworld story with Amanda Keller, a young Amanda Keller dressed in a wedding dress many years ago?
I was a researcher and I wrote myself into the story and turned up in a wedding dress. This would have been about 158 million years ago.
But you were after Tim.
It was a memorable thing, because not many people, in fact, I don't think anybody else has ever turned up in a wedding dress, Amanda. So
kudos to me.
Into our history quite well there.
I may not have turned up for the Sharpies, but I was there at Simon Townsend's Wonderworld.
So you've got Magda Zabansky throwing plastic items at you, or Amanda Keller in a wedding dress.
You've covered all options. You really have.
It's a very checkered history.
That's right. Having joined Fleetwood Mac, did you have to, when you came home again, do you bring that with you, or do you have to put that aside to be Crowded House again?
Well, you take every musical experience that I've had, I've managed to, I think, learn and grow from. And the same with Fleetwood Mac, a very different experience, and quite wonderful.
They would have had some great backstage stuff, though. Like Fleetwood Mac,
two Kit Kats.
They would have had some great backstage stuff.
Yeah, more so in the old days. I think there would have been a lot of reveling and carousing and canoodling and all of that. But and they were relatively well behaved when I was there. Although Mick will always have a little red wine in hand after a show, and bless him. But I think things were a little bit more crazy back in the day.
Mm.
They're all trying to preserve themselves as the tour went on, to make sure they could play well.
And with you touring with your two sons, do you ever go into dad mode and go, look at the time, guys. Come on.
Come on, guys.
Get to bed.
Halfway through the show, yeah, no, come on, it's bedtime. No, I don't need to do that. We're all in pretty good sync. They stay up on the tour bus a bit later than I do, and watch some kind of freaky series on TV, Murder and Mayhem or something like everyone seems to like these days.
That's not for you.
And you're just watching Bluey and having an early night.
Why would Neil be watching Bluey?
Well, I have watched Bluey a fair bit actually, in the company of children, and it's pretty damn good entertainment, I've got to say.
Yeah.
I actually was in an episode of Bluey.
Oh.
I was very lovely invitation to be I played a doctor, and I was assessing bandits' good health. It turned into a controversial episode because some people were saying that it was about fat shaming, because Bandit was a little out of shape. But anyway, it got a write-up, and I'm glad to be part of a Bluey controversy.
Yeah, I like that. That's what you need. You've got it all. You've had objects thrown at you by Magda Zabansky, wedding dress Amanda Keller, and now Bluey controversy. That's a trifecta. You can
retire now.
No, you can't retire because tickets for Crowded House go on sale Wednesday, the 29th from 9 a.m. on Live Nation. You see, you're back in there, Neil. You're back in.
Yeah. Yeah, and with a vengeance, and we'll have come fresh from lots of touring in the Northern Hemisphere, so we'll be really in practice in hot form and back with our own people. So yeah, very excited about that.
We're looking forward to seeing you, mate. Thank you for joining us.
Thank you, Neil.
Okay, all the best, you guys.
See ya. Bye.
Good on you. Bye.